Today we are going to learn how to become a better DPS in Final Fantasy XIV in JoCat's guide. So let's see what he did this time. I actually checked out the other crap guides to Final Fantasy XIV. They're on this channel if you're curious. We also did like tank and healer. So yeah, let's have a look.
Everybody likes to do damage, and don't pretend like you don't, because I know you're lying. Otherwise, why would you be playing an RPG with core mechanics such as leveling up, getting stronger, and looking fashionable as fuck? It's to do massive numbers on the other guys until their numbers are so small they match the PP size of anybody who doesn't commend at the end of a duty. The other members leaving too quickly is no excuse.
Wait, I want to read that. What did he say about like the Lalafell there? People who don't comment anyone, people who comment the DPS, people who comment the healer. Yeah, they're upset about the healer. Where were your heals when I needed them the most? The heals were not there. By the way, guys, if you love MMOs, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because that's what we're all about, MMOs. So yeah, let's continue this.
Duty. The other members leaving too quickly is no excuse. How do you expect to move quick enough to avoid AoEs if you can't even move quick enough to tell your allies they're doing a great job and that their glamour is sexy? Is that uncharacteristically nice of me? Maybe, but it means I get to steal the LB3 from the only melee in the group. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
An interesting crap guide to Final Fantasy. This episode, DPS.
Today I'm going to be talking about every job. That's right. What, you thought only the DPS have to DPS? Boy, I could slap you with my overflowing glamour dresser. Damage is the name of the game in Final Fantasy XIV, and the entirety of the game is designed around everybody dealing it, including the tanks and the healers. If the DPS rules are only 60% of the damage, tanks and healers are the ones who fill in the other 40. So if you don't contribute, you belong in the garbage chute. So don't get so hung up on the role names. Everybody is a DPS. What I mean specifically is that one, not only is FF14 a cooperative game, which means any time you waste is not only yours, but also anybody else in your party as well. And two, every combat feature in FF14 is designed with dealing damage in mind. Healers and tanks get skills that actively promote doing more DPS. Hell, Sage.
And that's something I love so much about Final Fantasy XIV. Like, there are some other MMOs where if you're a healer, you're literally just standing around and healing. You're not really contributing to the DPS very much. Like, if you look at, for example, World of Warcraft, like, if you're a healer, your main focus is to heal. You're not even, like, focusing on doing, like, side damage or anything, right? So I think that's like pretty interesting how you have like a hybrid role on the tank and on the healer. You're like half tank and half DPS, half healer, half DPS. And this makes it so much more fun, in my opinion, to play on a healer, because you're very flexible.
That actively promote doing more DPS. Hell, Sage is a healer whose skills actively benefit from doing DPS. And most importantly of all, enrage. Enrage is what happens when you overstay your welcome in a dungeon or boss arena and the residents have run out of things to talk about and are just really ready for you to leave so they can finally go poop without being worried that you're going to steal all their old DreamWorks DVDs. That is to say, you're either forcefully kicked out or alternatively, they instantly murder you. How do you prevent this from happening? You murder them first, of course, and then you pop in a copy of Shrek 2 so you can watch the castle siege again. And guess what? The later and later in the game you get, the more and more frequent enrages start to appear. And they'll have more and more health too, so if somebody decides they just don't feel like they want to cooperate in this team game they decided to play, and now the boss has 1/8 of its health left and is about to destroy the entire universe, Princess Fiona isn't going to be the only one who will need a hero. Hopefully it's been drilled into your head now that DPSing is essential, not just for the jobs with the title sticker, but also anyone in a fancy robe or edgy trench coat as well. Now that you know that, how does one go about dealing max deeps? The first most basic thing is to do your combos. Press a button. See another button light up? Press that one. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a combo. And doing so will
Can you actually mess up on that?
So must be super stupid to do so. Doing your taxes, or any variety of other additional effects. But mostly, it all achieves the same goal of dealing more damage. Secondly, you want to press these skills that the game labels as abilities and the community calls off-global cooldowns, or OGCDs for short. More like OGCDs nuts! I personally call them free damage buttons. They cost you nothing and there's literally no...
This is actually my mistake when I was like on the DPS for not so long. I think it was like my first week. I had like those off-global cooldown skills and stuff. And I would not use them like fast enough. They're like certain skills you should immediately press when they become available. And I sometimes was like hesitating. I thought, oh, I need to wait for a certain burst phase or something. But there are like some skills that don't have such a long cooldown and you shouldn't wait for a burst phase.
No reason not to press them while your normal cooldown is rolling. But this one has a long cooldown. What if I need it later? No, it doesn't. Shut up. The cooldowns in this game are so short you might as well
press them. That's true. That's just what I said. He's like
they're back up. Repeating. Not to mention, many jobs require you to press those free damage buttons to unlock even spankier damage buttons. So use your goddamn free damage buttons. It's free damage. The next rule of DPSing is knowing your ABCs.
ABC.
Always be casting. This means mashing away at your keyboard like a tickle monster working double time. More specifically, it means that the best way to make sure you are doing the most damage that you can
Many
is to
actions
always
per
have your
minute,
global
that's what
cooldown
you need
going,
to do.
even if it means accidentally pressing the wrong skill like the single brain cell that you are. Because if you're always pressing buttons, even the suboptimal one, you are doing more damage than if you weren't. And doing damage is always better than not doing damage. Yes, even Skaith. Here's a live example with my two subjects, Jan and Chloe. They both deal 1 million damage and suddenly the boss flies out of melee range. Jan sits there waiting patiently for the boss to return before she can start doing 1 million damage again. Meanwhile, Chloe's pressing the deal 1 damage at a range button the entire time they're waiting.
Yeah.
I ask you,
I do that too in
which
the
person
Samurai.
is dealing more damage right now? Yeah, but it's only 1 damage.
That means I'm doing something right here.
As if any fight is going to get so close that dealing... Who is dealing more damage? Sure, it might not look like much, but it's going to matter when they fight the boss that has 3,000,002 health and they wipe all because the other DPS decided they don't want to press buttons. It's such little...
Did this actually ever happen to you guys that you had like a boss or like, let's say 2% health and there was like a wipe mechanic if you don't get this down? Like, I'm actually fortunate that I never had this. Like, I never had a phase like this. Usually we always like cleared everything. There's only one time we had the wipe, and that was not on like 1 or 2% health, but this was like, I had a group and they, like, especially like the healers, they didn't do much active damage, I noticed. And we had like a boss on was like 8% health, and then we wiped because they didn't really do DPS well. Maybe I should like send this video to them. I forgot their names actually, so I can't.
It's such little DPS, it won't make a difference? Sure, Jan. Now, one of the best
Sure,
things you
Jan.
should do to improve your damage in Final Fantasy XIV is this. It's really simple. I want you to lean in. It's a super simple thing. Here, come close. I'm gonna say the thing. Are you ready? Okay, here it
Yes,
goes.
I'm ready.
Read your tooltips! The little block of text that literally tells you what your skills
learn your
do.
job.
Honestly, you would be surprised how many people queue into an expert dungeon and never realize they have a skill that can attack multiple targets. Even all the things I tell you in this video, the combos, the range attacks, the AoE damage skills, the free damage buttons. The
That
best
must
way
be
to know
annoying.
what your job is capable of is by reading your job skill tooltips yourself. So you better read your goddamn tooltips, because if I see another player not knowing
I really
about
love
their AoE
JoCat's
combo and
edits.
I'm
I
out
think
full at
they're
level
funny.
80, I'm gonna grab the nearest etherite and bash you so hard you're gonna be teleported to the final resting place of every ERPer's used undergarments. With
Like
all that out of
JoCat
the way,
and
you
Pint,
think I'd
they're
covered
doing so
everything
well
you need
with
to do
it.
to be an ultimate clearing badass, right? Unfortunately, not Waffle Face, because the final responsibility every single
No
role in
way,
Final
standing.
Fantasy 14 shares is not dying. Oh sure, the healers help, but most of the time your own survival is on you and only you. And that means making sure you do the fight mechanics and don't take avoidable damage like it's
There's
got
one-shot
cheese touch.
mechanics.
I'm
Healers can't
sorry,
help you
are you
there.
in the middle of your cast? You want to try and hit that purple parse like the big man you are? That's too damn.
That's actually wrong. You shouldn't do that. Like, it's better to lag for a certain phase a bit of DPS than to actually die. Because even if you like just keeping up your dots or like some of the spammables, like it's better to like complete a half rotation each time and not die than to die and you have done just 1 full rotation. Because 3 half rotations are better than 1 full rotation, let's say, right? And maybe you miss out like 2 rotation phases because you died.
Each time you
If that
take
makes
damage
sense.
that is avoidable, it means the healer has to heal you and they're dealing less damage. And on top of that,
True.
you get this cheese puff called a vulnerability stack. For each stack you
And
have,
you're
you
not
take
using
more and more
half
damage
of your
until you get
skills
one shot
'cause
when the
you're
enemy
dead.
farts in your general direction. All this to say, if you don't avoid enemy damage, you will not only make the healer do less DPS, but you're also likely going to die, which means 0 DPS.
Exactly,
and if you still
like
think
I said.
that's not a big deal and the healers can just res you, each time you die, you get a dunce cap of Shane that reduces your DPS even more for about as long as a red light in Philadelphia. So you better stay alive or else I'm gonna raise you so I can rescue you into an AoE and kill you myself. To recap, everybody's DPS matters.
Are people
Press
doing
your
that
free
sometimes
damage
to
button.
troll others?
Always be casting, read your tooltips, stay alive. But even if you keep all those things in mind, the number one...
I feel like actually 5 is the most important, and yeah, okay, always be casting, of course, is very important, and the free damage, but 5 is in my opinion the most important, because you can have a shit DPS, but this person stays long enough alive and does at least like half the rotation, then you have someone that, yeah, but this is not enough if you have like a harder content with like certain DPS phases where you have to do a certain minimum. Like there's a DPS check on some dungeons and trials, so yeah.
One rule to improve your
I
DPS
feel like early
performance
dungeons,
is to
this is
practice.
important.
Striking dummies are all over the goddamn place, out in the overworld, and even in the yards of some random people's houses in the residential
Random
district. So if you
people's
see
houses.
one, there's no shame in whacking it a few times like you're auditioning to be a dominatrix. I'm sure the neighbors won't mind. Practice makes perfect, and even all the
Wait,
foresight in the world-
wait, I want to read that. What did this one say, this Chocobo? Who the fuck is this guy? You're not my master. He just broke in. He's like a burglar or something.
won't mind. Practice makes perfect, and even all the foresight in the world will not fully translate into the doing. So go and do that doing so that one day you too can do the do and make everybody else look like you do because of how good your doing skills are. And with how much doing you'll be doing, maybe someday you too can clear an ultimate and get a shiny ass weapon of your own to show off to people AFKing at the Limsa Etherite Plaza. Just know the difference between an amateur and a master is that a master has failed way more times. By the way, get ready for a party wipe. Wait, what? Congratulations, you're now better at the game than you were 5 seconds ago. Oh! And now you know how
OMG, they were so bad though, because look, 35%.
Now better at the game than you were 5 seconds ago. Oh! And now you know how to DPS, you're welcome. Oh, finally my Q just popped.
Let's get this into
one
practice.
Of the other party members withdrew. Ah, fuck!
Oh, this happens to me sometimes. You know, this was an interesting guide. Like, I love JoCat's crap guides to Final Fantasy XIV. I also checked out the other ones. We have the tank and the healer as well that we checked out. So, yeah, like I said, if you guys are curious, you can find them on this channel and hear my opinion on that. But yeah, stay alive, most important. And yeah, those cooldown skills, make sure you always use them and not wait. Like, I was thinking wrong at the beginning when I was like a new DPS. I thought I have to wait for certain phases. For example, for like trick attack on the ninja. But you can't always expect your group mate to also use everything on their cooldown. That increases like the group damage and stuff. So yeah, it's very important to always use those global cooldown skills. Stay alive and just cast always, even like on the samurai, if it's like a freaking range skill that does like barely any damage. Like, I just keep spamming that as well when I like dodge AoEs. Sometimes I'm even like, using the freaking gap closer that barely does any damage just to get faster engaged again in combat. If I, let's say, dodge a mechanic way too far, right? So I walk a bit less, even though it's a DPS loss, this freaking gap closer, right? But yeah, I think it's so funny, like his guides, I really love them. So now we can DPS properly and be good at the game, right? I'm actually wondering if he does like more of those videos. Like, I really love checking out those videos by like JoCat and Pint, but I feel like it always takes a while till like new ones comes out, right? So yeah, what do you guys think about this DPS guide? Let me know in the comment section, and please subscribe if you haven't. And I also really appreciate if you like this video. This will help out with the YouTube algorithm. I wish everyone a wonderful day, and now we can get into the freaking duty roulette and do more DPS. I will see you guys next time.